All right, we've got another disheartening Bulls loss to talk about, and I'm very scared about their play-in chances. Didn't think I'd be talking about the chances of the play-in tournament, the fight for the play-in, but here we are, and I don't know if the Bulls are going to get there. So CJ's going to do what he does best and talk me off the ledge here. On today's episode of Believe in Bulls here on the Believe Network, presented by BetOnline.ag. I'm your host, Nick Schultz, alongside my aforementioned partner, former Bulls bench mob member, and Tennessee Vols C.J. Watson. CJ, it's not going great, man. They started out strong with the Pat Bev era, and these last three games, I don't care if one was a win. It's not great.
Yeah, it's not looking too good. They really got to turn the ship now, and if not, just get ready for the draft.
I mean, it's almost too late. And I mean, Vooch said as much in The Athletic today. And I'll read that quote. There's a lot of layers here. And there's Halliburton game winner, man. That just, he pulled up from, I'm apartment hunting. He pulled up from where I'm looking for an apartment in Rogers Park. Like, I mean, that out of nowhere from the logo, that's just the epitome of the season, in my opinion. That pretty much sums it up. But there's a lot more than just big time shots and big time moments from the other team that are the Bulls' problem. Going to dive into it after I tell you about our sponsor, BetOnline.ag. BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. Everything from pro and college basketball to UFC, MMA, and more. You will always find the latest odds, team matchup information, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. With live betting options, free contests, and live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. BetOnline feature is truly the fastest. I got tongue twisted there. BetOnline is truly the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite leagues and events. This is a great time for college basketball fans. It is conference tournament week. The tournament starts next week. If you're crazy like me and are going to be glued to the Big Ten tournament to see that chaos, all of that is over at BetOnline. I have no idea who's going to win. Northwestern's the number 2 seed, for crying out loud. Didn't think that was going to happen. It's going to be chaos. Bet on all of it at BetOnline. What are you waiting for? Head to the website today or use your mobile device to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your rewards. That's BLEAV. Get that 50% bonus at BetOnline. It's where the game starts. Never thought I'd be talking about Northwestern as a number 2 seed in the Big Ten tournament. Didn't think I'd see the day, but here we are. Right. We also have an official Shop of the Network official t-shirt of the show. Jordan Pippen 98, The Last Dance, available exclusively at shop.believe.com. There's a lot of great stuff there, but the official t-shirt of our program, Jordan Pippen 98, The Last Dance, shop.believe.com. The link is in my Twitter and Instagram bios. I finally figured out how to get that link tree into Instagram, getting tech savvy. Okay, Pacers game. Bulls lose to the Pacers at home. They are now, I don't even know what the record is. 29-36 is what the record is. 17 games left in the season. I'm going to say it. Bulls play-in hopes are dead. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm a type of person that just tries to see the good in everything and just try to finish out the season the best way they can. But yeah, it's looking that way. It's looking pretty slim right now.
I mean, if it wasn't 17 games left, if they were playing like this, I agree with Vooch, 30 games ago, there is room. You got 17 games to go. You're on the outside looking in. You're the 12 seed now, and Indiana owns the tiebreaker. There is still technically a path to the play-in tournament. There is a way they can make a run at this thing, get in the play-in, and it's a whole new season once you get there. Realistically, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, me neither. I think just like Vooch said, if they're doing this 20 or 30 games ago, they have some room to get better and to improve. But now we've been saying the same things the whole season: consistency, play harder, not give up big leads, just have more fight and more dog in them. And like I said, this is a game, whatever, and they haven't shown any signs of improvement. So I think it would be safe to say that it's damn near sure almost over.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think about because again, there's still a whole month to go.
Yeah.
But yes, they lost to the Suns. I didn't think they were going to beat the Suns. I said as much last week. Like, I would be shocked. They had a lead on them, but they lost because the cream rises to the top.
Yeah.
And you lose to the Pacers like you did. You had to have that game if your hope is the playoffs, is the play-in. Yeah. 125-122, the final score. Tyrese Halliburton pulled up from the logo, hit a 3 in the final seconds, and then the inbound play. Okay, I got thoughts on that inbound play. I don't know if you saw this. So Pat Bev inbounded, which was interesting. You had Levine, DeRozan, Kobe White, and Vooch. For a play, you need a 3. The play ended up going to Vooch because they defended Zach LaVine really well, and Zach LaVine had 41 points, by the way. Another really good performance from Zach. I got more on him in a little bit. Why is Vooch in that game over Patrick Williams? I don't understand.
I mean, Vooch is a 3-point shooter, but like I said, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know how many threes Vooch hit that game, but Definitely, you want to put your best 3-point shooters in, but maybe just set screens or something like that, just to maybe free somebody up. And if a lot of attention goes to Zach or DeMar, then maybe he gets wide open for a three. Maybe.
I'm going to ask you something. I got some trivia. I'm putting you on the spot. You know who leads the Bulls in 3-point percentage this year?
Kobe White.
Nope.
Vooch.
Nope.
I believe so.
Nope.
Well, I'm out of guesses.
Patrick Williams.
Okay.
Patrick Williams, 41.3% 3-point shooter this year.
Yep.
He was on the bench for that play.
Yep.
I mean, Stacey King and Adam pointed it out on the broadcast right away. They're like, why is Pat Will not in this game? Like, I get wanting to have Vooch in there. Yep. An all-star. You can set your screens. You got the big guy. But if you're Indiana, who's the last guy you want shooting that ball? I'm sorry, who's the guy you want shooting that ball if you're Indiana? It's Vooch. Because he's, of all of those guys I mentioned, you had Levine out there. He's your 3-point shooter. Kobe White's lethal. Pat Bev was inbounding, so take Pat Bev out of there. You had DeRozan, who's proven he can just hit a shot from anywhere in a big moment.
Yeah.
I did not understand that decision to put Vooch in there over Patrick Williams when you needed a three. You were down 3. A alley-oop type inbound is not going to get you anything. So Billy Donovan's not without blame here for this Pacers game.
No, I agree. Definitely. When you bring that stat up, he definitely should have been on the court and definitely should have been probably an option, if not probably one of the top options to get a three, at least get a shot at the rim.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't know Patrick Williams was the leading 3-point percentage until I looked at it. I knew he was shooting it well. Right. I thought he was like middle of the pack, 35, 36%. I've got ESPN open here and I've refreshed it a couple times. 41.3% 3-point shooter this year. He's proven he's a 3-and-D guy. So if he's your last option on that inbound play, and Billy Donovan said, Zach was the first option. They doubled him up. You had to do something. So you had to get it to Vooch. I'd much rather have Patrick Williams as the final option than Vooch with the way Vooch is shooting. Because Vooch this year from 3 is shooting at 34.7%, which isn't bad, especially for a big guy. Right. But I mean, of all the guys out there, I wouldn't have put him in there with the way he's been shooting. And I don't even know how he was in the game, like you said, but I wouldn't have put him in there.
And especially the way that Patrick Williams has been playing. He's been playing pretty well to me, getting better and showing improvement. Like I think everyone wants to see as his development continues to grow and into that 3-and-D guy and a capable offensive guy. So he definitely, like you said, should have been in the game, being an option for that last second shot.
Vooch had taken 1 3 and missed it at that point. Patrick Williams was 2 for 3 off the bench.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, like, I mean, I'm a Billy Donovan defender. I will be. I don't think that's not going to change because of one play in a game that's going to wind up proving meaningless. Honestly, like that game in the big picture, once all said and done here, yes, they had their opportunity, but you can't be talking about missed opportunities this many games into the season. Like you're 54 games in, 53 games in. It's enough that game is not going to be the difference this year. So that game's going to prove meaningless. I'm not going to get too hung up on it, but that surprised me. And I mean, there was other stuff too. They got killed on offensive rebounds. Again, they shot 61% and lost the game. You can't keep blowing big leads. You can't keep getting beat on the offensive glass. I'm a broken record.
Yeah. I think everyone's a broken record at this point. I think, especially at this point, they have the team to compete offensively. It's just the defensive end. What are they going to do defensively? Are they really going to hone in and play defense? Because, like I said, they can score with the best of them, but you got to play both sides of the wall to be a good team and even get to the playoffs.
And I know their defense has been good lately. Since January 1, they've been one of the best in the league. Now, I knew they weren't going to beat Toronto. Toronto they're longer, they're more athletic. That game, I was going to be surprised. And I like that Billy made the adjustment to put that wasn't the lineup. He put the big lineup out there for the Suns game. But I would have liked to have seen that Toronto. Put Patrick Williams in the game instead of starting Caruso at the 4. It's fine. Yeah. I like that lineup. I like that look. Caruso can play anywhere on the court. When you're going against 5 forwards and you're 4 guards and a big guy, I didn't understand that. And again, that one I didn't think they were going to win, even with Patrick Williams. They're still too little. Yeah.
You got to switch up, especially with them being not too far out of the playing game, but still enough to maybe not make it. You definitely got to throw some lineups out there and see what you're working with, and just trying to get ready for next year. Your goal isn't to make the playing game.
We talked about whether they made these must-win games after the Washington game because they started 2 straight wins out of the All-Star break. Everything was looking good. Patrick Beverley was fitting in well.
Yeah.
Seemed like they were playing better defense. I mean, they held 3 straight games. They held their, or I'm sorry, 2 straight games. They held their opponent under 100 points, and the Toronto scored 104. But the Pistons game, that one you got lucky. Jaden Ivey did his best Chris Webber impression, called a timeout he didn't have, and that led to 2 free throws. That was the difference. Phoenix, I knew they weren't going to win. Indiana, you got to win. So from the play-in perspective, you had to beat Toronto, whether you were going to or not. You had to beat them. You didn't. You barely beat Detroit, who is that sorry, that's a bad team this year. They got a lot of injuries. They're really shorthanded. That's a bad team right now. And you had to beat Indiana, and you didn't. I know we're talking about don't tank. It seems like they're just losing. Like this doesn't feel like tanking. They just feels like they're losing.
Yeah, like I said before, I don't think they learned anything from this the whole season. Like I said, they haven't improved or gotten better at one statistical category, I feel like. And they just kept just riding the wave kind of and not really competing and getting better and better as teams do along the year. You get better and better. This team has kind of just sailed and been steady the whole time, maybe even gotten worse in some areas.
I mean, I could see that. I feel like they've gotten better defensively, but they let off the gas too much. Don't let off the gas. I don't care if you're up 35 points in the second quarter. Do not let off the gas. And the stat that jumps out to me, I just want to get your thoughts on this too. They shot 61%. So they shot the ball well and lost the game because Indiana took 20 more shots, grabbed 11 more offensive rebounds than the Bulls did. There is no excuse for that, right? I mean, even if it's a small lineup, there's no excuse.
Yeah, no excuse. That's just effort. That's just effort, hard work. How bad do you want it? And the name of the game is getting more possessions. If you have more possessions, you have a better chance of winning. That's just any statistician will tell you that. So they definitely are playing the stat game right now, or the analytical game.
You know, I've got a defense question for you too, because I've noticed a lot of, and teams are doing this. The Bulls are biting every time. Vooch is down low, guarding the big guy. They set a screen. Vooch keeps switching. So Vooch ends up outside on the 3-point line. You got 4 guards crashing the boards and you got all the big guys. That's where these offensive rebounds are coming. How do you avoid that? How do you keep Vooch down low so he doesn't end up outside the 3-point line getting ready to go back on transition while the other guys are crashing the offensive rebounds?
Well, the name of the game now in the modern NBA era is switching. I'm not really for switching. I want to keep my big guys on my big guys and keep them in a drop position. So I can keep Vooch around the basket and to get more rebounds and not have him in rotations all the time. Because when he gets in rotation, that's when he's scrambling, and big guys are always subject for a pump fake or just a quick line drive. So you want to keep him in drop coverage and hope him stay near the basket.
Because I've lost track of how many times Vooch ends up. I mean, beyond the free throw line, beyond the elbow, as those other teams are like, hey, let's throw a big guy down there, get him switching. And you get they're basically their only rebounder. Like I know Pat Bev's putting up big rebounding numbers, but the biggest guy on the court is outside, and you've got 4 guys that are like 6'5" and shorter, I think, crashing the boards. Maybe Patrick Williams if he's on the court, depending on what the rotations is with the bench unit, whatever. But with the starters, that's a small unit, and they've adjusted very well to that.
Yeah, they're going to pound the grass every time, just when you have your big guy outside the paint, and it's definitely easier for them to get a rebound than you to get back in transition. So it's definitely, a recipe for disaster. And that's one way they can defend their defense.
And this isn't the only area, by the way, that the Bulls are struggling in rebounding. Right. The Suns made 23s in the game the other day. They made 20. The Bulls shot 23 threes. It is 2023. How are you not shooting that many threes?
Yeah, it's not even about shooting. We got to make them also. The modern NBA now is to shoot threes, to make threes, and get layups and dunks. And that's what the Bulls aren't doing. They're still in the mid-range area, which is fine. But I would like to see more threes and more shot makers from the 3-point line.
See, this is where my attitude is. And I mean, I had this in college. I've heard college coaches say this. I don't care if they shoot 20% from 3. If you can keep up with if you're shooting threes, if they can shoot, because the Suns, let me see how many threes the Suns shot in that game. That was really fun to say just now. They took 47. Yeah. Okay. The Bulls took 23. Even if it's 35 threes you're taking, if you still just made 7 of those, if they went 7 for 35, you know what? Shooters shoot. Like they're going to fall. That's the way I look at it. And it's an oversimplification. It absolutely is. But at least, and I tweeted this too, at least make an attempt to keep up with the modern NBA and shoot some threes. I love the mid range. Don't get me wrong. I know people say, oh, the mid range is dead. Like it's all 3-point shooting. I don't think so. I think that's why DeMar DeRozan is such a good player from mid range. I mean, Kevin Durant's that way too. Devin Booker. Hey, those are two guys on the Suns, by the way. Chris Paul is on that list too. 3 Suns, really good mid range shooters. They still took 47 threes. You've got to shoot them.
Yeah, you got to shoot them. I'm big on just playing to your strengths, but also just not trying to shoot them just to shoot them. I want to take good threes, and I also want to take shots that are makeable. So I'm not just for just shooting any type of threes. I want my players to be able to shoot and be able to make them and be shot makers instead of shot takers.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I don't want everybody being like Tyrese Halliburton and pulling up from the logo just for fun. I don't want that. I want smart threes, and I don't want. I'm really glad. The good thing about bringing Patrick Beverley in is Zach doesn't seem to be forcing shots as much. He seems to be creating his own shots, and that's why he's been playing so well. But the other guys, I'm looking at the box score now. Zach took 7 threes, so that's a little less than a third of their threes came from Zach alone. The other 4 starters, Beverley, Vucevic, DeRozan, and Williams, combined to shoot 7.
Yeah.
And Kobe White shot 2. Alex Caruso shot 4. Ayo Dosunmu shot 3. That's it. I know it's roster makeup is what it is. The 3-point guys. Yes, Patrick Williams leads in 3-point percentage. He went over 2. You're not going to go 100%. You're not going to make a 3 every game if you're a power forward with the way this offense is. DeMar made one. He's a mid-range guy. Vooch's 3-point shot this year, it started out strong. Seems to be going away. Pat Bev's a good 3-point shooter. He's not going to be shooting threes all the time. That's not his game. Kobe White's your shooter. Again, he only shot 2. Caruso's 3-point percentage isn't what it was in LA. Ayo Dosunmu is still a young player, and he's going to be hit or miss. So the biggest need, I'm talking about the offseason on March 6th, go get some shooting, please.
Yeah, for sure. That has to be on your main agenda, is to definitely get some 3-point shooting in there and guys who can play defense. But yeah, they gotta clear the roster to where they can get guys who can make threes and take threes, but also guys who can create their own shot. And just being able to give those guys, the big guys, DeMar, Zach, and Vooch, a release when they get double teamed.
And I would like to point out too, if anyone's curious about me saying this, go back a year ago, go through the podcast feed, listen to as many episodes as you want, by the way, but go back a year ago. You hear me say during this past offseason, go get some shooting. Instead, they got Goran Dragic, who they cut. He's going to Milwaukee because he got hurt so much. And Andre Drummond, who's good from the size perspective. I think Drummond's still a key player on this team. Those are the only 2 additions they made. And Dalen Terry, they drafted as a project.
Right.
Like, I mean, go do something substantive. I'm tired of the projects in the draft. I'm tired of go get some veterans and see if you can fill in the holes. Go get some shooting. And I haven't looked at this free agent class yet. It's March. You don't know what's going to be around in the free agent class. But please just go get some shooting so Zach LaVine is not the only guy shooting the ball.
Yeah, for sure. You got to go get some shooting, some shot makers, some defensive guys. And like you say, just make up the roster to this modern day NBA roster where you can have a rebound, you have defense, you have shooting, and you have a better chance, to get to the playoffs, which is hopefully the goal. And the goal is to win a championship, I'm sure.
Now, I'm being really down on this team. It's because I am. Like, I mean, I feel like that's just Bulls Twitter too. If you look at Bulls Twitter, I'm a rank amateur right now compared to how Bulls Twitter is reacting. I mean, it is just angry and apathetic and ignorant. Like, I don't know and I don't care. Like, I mean, I'm kind of getting to that point, but I keep it like Zach LaVine right now. I'll talk about something good. 2 40-point games in 3 games. Like that. This is max Zach LaVine. He's back to his old self, it looks like. And that's where I do think the Pat Bev signing is helping too, because he said Zach's job is just to shoot. Well, he's shooting. He's doing the catch and shoot thing that we've been calling for all year.
Yeah.
It's working. He just doesn't have anyone help around him right now.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is exactly what I wanted to see. I would like to see more for him on the defensive end, so he can be more of a leader. Because he is the max guy. He's a franchise guy. So you want your franchise guy to be a leader also on both ends of the court and not just on one end.
Well, I'll be straight up and down with you. Even when they gave him the max contract, I didn't expect much defense.
Right, yeah. Sure,
and again, he makes up for if he can drop 35 a game. That the defense, fine. You put him on the guy. If you got 5 guys out there, put him on the 5th guy. Like, I mean, or at least the guard that doesn't shoot the best. Like, there's ways to accommodate that. If he's pouring in 30, 35 a game, I can live with that. It's when he's doing these 15, 20-point games, he's not playing defense. That's where you lose me. But if he can keep shooting like this, I feel like if you can get enough defensive effort from the other four guys, you can kind of offset that a bit. And obviously you played for Tibbs where you don't take defense off at all, but
Yeah.
that's just that's how I kind of approach it from the
No, I
outsider
agree.
perspective.
No, I agree also, but I feel like as a competitor, I'm sure he's a competitor. He wants to be on
Oh
the
yeah.
main guy. He doesn't want to just be thrown out there and put me on the weakest guy. So and that means a lot of respect for other players who see him as just a shooter and a scorer. So they want to see a guy who can play both ends of the court. Like I said, be a leader and take some responsibility. That's what his teammates want. Also, that just means more for you as a franchise player.
Yeah. And this offseason is going to be interesting. I told you before we started recording, I'm ready for the offseason. I was before the All-Star break, and then I wasn't because Pat Bev had me excited. And then, they came back down to earth, and now I'm ready for the offseason again. Like
Right.
I'm ready to see, okay, are they going to move on for DeMar? I thought for sure, if you asked me a week ago, could have seen a world where Zach LaVine gets traded in the offseason. I don't see that now with the way
Yeah.
he's playing.
Yeah.
So if you build around Zach, trade DeMar, get yourself a first round pick, because right now in the lottery odds, because we're got to talk about the lottery odds. I never thought I'd be talking about the damn lottery odds this year with this team, but here we are. Sixth best to be the number one pick, 34.8% for the top four. They are currently 2 games, I guess, ahead of Orlando. Orlando has a 42.1% chance of the top four, by the way. Just a reminder, if the Bulls are in the top four, they keep the pick. If they're outside the top four, Orlando gets the pick. So Orlando looking at a strong chance of 2 first-round picks in the top 14. I mean, I know we don't want to tank. I don't want them to tank, but a couple losses here and there might not hurt from a lottery standpoint.
Yeah, I think the way the season's going, we don't have to worry about them tanking. They're going to do it themselves.
I mean, I'm fine as long as it's not a
right.
tank.
Oh yeah, but they have been winning a lot. So like I said, I don't know about really just sitting in there and just tanking, but the way the season's going, like I said, they're just losing at a rapid pace and just going. It's getting worse and worse, and I'm sure they're ready for the season to get over too, which is probably not a good thing.
Look, if we're sitting here saying don't tank and they just lose, if you want to call it a tank, call it whatever you want.
Right.
Like, I mean, I'm gonna come out here and say you're not tanking. I think this just isn't working. Like, there's a difference
Right.
between tanking and not working. But if people
Yeah.
want to call it a tank, fine. I'm not gonna, but you do what you got to do. I get the whole, well, they keep losing, they keep blowing these big leads, which is going to lead people to think that they're tanking. And
Yeah.
a rose is a rose. If I know other name, I know how that goes. I watched the Bears this year. Trust me,
Right.
I know what tanking looks like, and they did a damn good job of it too. I can't wait to see what they get for the number one pick. But this doesn't feel like a tank. This just feels like a team that, for some reason, 54 games in, doesn't have an identity.
Yeah, they definitely don't have an identity. Not yet. They don't have a leader. I don't feel like. I think that's another one of the main things. Not having a leader, not having someone to hold everyone accountable. So I think that's kind of the main issues for the way the season's going so far.
Makes you wonder what would have happened if Pat Bev came in 2 months earlier.
A little bit of a different team, but I think the same team. I feel
You think?
like.
I know on the court, like the fit, we've talked about that over and over. He's not your Lonzo. He's not going to be your facilitator. He's the dog mentality, the defense. It's just one of those, and we'll never. You weren't going to find out why, because he was too expensive in the free agent market.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting to think, okay, would he have helped their defense and their mentality had he come in even earlier? But I mean, it's going to be water under the bridge, because this team doesn't. I don't think they're going to make the play in. There's going to be a lot of tough questions this offseason. And don't forget, Kobe White's contract is up. You've got to make a decision on Iota Sumu with his contract being up. Don't know if are they going to trade DeMar. Don't forget, Vooch's contract is up too.
Yep.
This is going to be a very interesting offseason once we finally get there. 17 more games, people. 17 more games.
No, I definitely agree, and I think it's going to be interesting just to see the last 17 games, see how hard they fight, if they just throw in the towel and give up, or they keep fighting, push to try to get that playing spot and try to compete to get into the playoffs.
And I would like to point out here, as I look at like the teams that are in the lottery, they're not going to be in the top 4 odds, because they're currently, what a quick math, 9.5 games better than Charlotte. Charlotte's number 4. You're looking at if your goal is to have the 5th best odds in the lottery, that is attainable, because you're 2 games back of that, but you're also 2 games back of the play-in. So whatever route you want to go, I don't care. All right, let's do this. Sim lottery, tankathon. What do we got? All hope is lost. Bulls get the number 9 pick in my simulation, and Orlando has the 8 pick. Top 4 picks are Portland, San Antonio, Indiana, and Oklahoma City in my simulation here. which that Portland pick, don't forget, if Portland can finally string together some wins, I'll feel a lot better about the draft. Because I mean, Portland right now, they're 2 games back of out of the top 15. So if they can get out of that, if they can be 15 or lower, the Bulls have a first round pick no matter what. And I'll feel a lot more relaxed about this. But right now, I'm nervous about this offseason.
Yeah, it's going to be nervous, and it's going to be interesting to see exactly what happens, what kind of moves the front office makes, and which direction they decide to go in.
It's going to give us a lot of fodder for the next month.
Right. Yeah.
1 month left in the season. We've got a lot we can talk about with this.
Right.
A lot of what ifs, a lot of hypotheticals. And the Bulls' next game in this nice schedule is they've got Denver. Yeah, that I already chalking that up to a loss too. So it's gonna be 3 straight losses. I will happily be wrong. That if when I'm talking about my team losing and they win, I'm fine being wrong. But then you got Houston, Sacramento, Minnesota, Miami, Philadelphia twice. Ouch. Like, man, I don't even care about how strong the schedule is. Like, I'm over it. I'm over this year. Just get to the offseason. And we didn't even talk about Javonte Green having, it sounds like similar knee problems to Lonzo.
Right.
We'll get to that on Thursday. Like,
you're ready to just chalk it up to you.
I am. I'm ready to just. I mean, I'm not out on the court. I'm not gonna. I mean, don't tank. Don't. But if you play with a little less effort, I'm not going to be mad about it because you're already losing. I mean, that's just where I'm at with it. Like, I just
don't say you're tanking, but tank.
Exactly. Don't say it like if you blow the big leads, you blow the big leads because you still don't have a true point guard. Lonzo was the thing. He was the reason. He drove the train. Whatever, any analogy you want to use, just use it. I don't care at this point. Yeah. Like the straw that stirs the drink, all that. This roster makeup sucks.
Right.
Can't shoot the 3. You can't rebound offensively. You know what? If you're just bad at that, that's not a tank. That's just teams are exploiting your flaws.
Right. Yeah. You're just bad.
It's just a bad team, and that's okay. Right. It's okay to just be bad. Just don't tank. But if you're bad, you're just bad. Yeah. That's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah. I agree.
Oh, one more month. We'll get there. We'll get through it. We'll be here. We got your therapy sessions. We got your therapy sessions right here. Cleveland Bulls every week, twice a week, because we're going to be back to twice a week now, back on a regular schedule. And we're going to have, there's so much we can talk about, so much complaining, so much whining from me. You got your work cut out for you, by the way, putting up with me the last 17 games.
I'm here for it.
You were working with kids last week. You're going to hear me whining and complaining now for the next month. Yeah. Just wrap in. This is going to be really interesting. Well, that was a wrap on some kind of episode of Believe in Bulls around the Believe Network, presented by BetOnline.ag. Use that promo code BLEAV. March Madness is coming up. We will have our preview show coming up next week. Tell you what prospects to watch if the Bulls can find their way in the top 4. I'm not betting on that. Sorry, that's one bet I won't make, is the Bulls be in the top 4 because I don't trust the lottery odds. But then again, they had bad lottery odds. The one year they drafted some guy named Derek. Right. So just throwing that out there. And don't forget to buy our shirt as well. Jordan Pippen 98, The Last Dance. CJ, as I keep saying, you got 30 more days-ish of this. We're going to recap the Nuggets game. We're going to complain. We're going to get through it. We're going to talk each other through this. You're going to talk me through it, actually. That's how it's going to work. I'm not talking you through anything. You're helping me.
It's going to get better, man. They're going to win that Nuggets game. I feel like I got a good feeling.
You know, part of me hopes you're right, but part of me doesn't. I just at that point, I don't care. Oh, boy. We'll have more not caring from me later in the week. Enjoy the week and try to enjoy the games.